Hey guys, Multi here. Today I want to talk with you about the upcoming changes for tomorrow, all the class tuning incoming. You can see it here on the left side already. On the right side you can see my last Mythic Plus prediction tier list for Season 1 in the War Within. The first thing I want to do here is I want to make some changes before the class tuning would be incoming, because I think my list was, for me, in my personal opinion, kind of accurate, but I also think it could be definitely some things better right now at that moment, because I think, for example, that Fury Warrior did exceptionally well, Balance Druid was doing much less good. Again, this is before we consider the class tuning. So Arcane Mage definitely also an S tier spec. Fury Warrior, you could even say S tier, is a little bit strange for me, but I also think it will miss some steam. It will lose some steam in the higher keys. And don't get me wrong, when I make a Mythic Plus tier list, and it's not for +5 key, it is for high keys. Maybe not the highest of the highest of the highest of the highest, but definitely for high keys. So just to make that clear. So next one, what I would change here is, what was it? Red Paladin. Also, I think looks much stronger than expected, to be honest. Another thing. Asa Rogue, no, it's okay. That's bad. Outlaw Rogue, man. I think it definitely looks a little bit more accurate like this right now at that moment, I would say, when we only consider Mythic 0, what we saw there, and without the upcoming class changes. So let us talk about the class changes. Give me 1 second here. Is there something that I'm missing? Because for sure I was prepared. Enhancement Shaman. I think it's definitely top of the A tier, just to make that clear here. Okay, let us come to the class tuning incoming on September 17. What can change because of that? I think in Death Knight, not a lot will change. It will stay kind of the same with those changes, more or less. So just to make it clear, I will not change here something around with DKs. Next one is Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter was a little bit more just fixing than buffing or nerfing, but for sure that is a little bit more a buff than a nerf. I think it will stay a pretty solid A tier Demon Hunter here. Next one is Druid Balance, and especially here you can see all ability damage increased by 6%, Star Surge damage increased by 16%, and even more important, Starfall damage increased by 20%, which is insane in my opinion. At the moment I only have it in B tier. I put it down from A to B tier before the class tuning. I think now it's definitely an A tier spec, and I think as higher the keys are going, this consistent DPS that a balanced druid can deliver can maybe outshine even some specs in the S tier. But I don't want to make the jump from B tier to S tier just because of those buffs, because we will have to see how the buffs will develop then in Mythic Plus and in higher keys. Next one is Feral. As you can see here, Feral, a lot of things are increased, so I think Feral is definitely jumping from bottom of the B tier to maybe high B or maybe even low A tier. It's a little bit hard for me to say because I'm very unexperienced in Feral Druid, so I'm not sure where to put it. I think I will keep it in the low B tier range. Restoration is Healer, we gonna notice. Evoker, that will keep like it is. Mage, okay, Mage. I put Arcane Mage from A tier again up to the S tier, and I think it will stay there. This damage reduction is, in my opinion, necessary because right now it's definitely even stronger than Frost Mage by a good step, and that maybe brings it down to Frost Mage level. I think we have here two nice, very good mage specs in the upcoming season, which will maybe really at the end depending more of your playstyle that you like, or maybe then later on a little bit also on the dungeon, on the composition of your team. So if you can play both specs on a pretty good level. You have maybe a lot of fun swapping around between Arcane and Frost in this season. Fire Mage, the buff, I have to be honest, I don't think that's it. Let me say it's going up from D tier to C tier, but apart from this, no, sorry, that's not helping. Windwalker will stay the same. It's pretty much in a good spot, not awesome, not less. Retribution Paladin here will get a slight nerf. I think Retribution Paladin or Red Paladin is in a good spot because it has a lot of burst. It is especially strong right now with only Mythic 0. And also I think in lower keys it will outshine a lot of different classes. And it has also a big utility set. So I think in higher keys it could lose some steam as the Fury Warrior later that we talk about in a second. But I still could believe that it maybe stays around bottom of the A tier. Maybe top of B tier, so it's a little bit hard to say, but just again, we are not talking here about a +5 key, we're talking here about later in the season, plus 10, plus 12, plus 40, whatever will be one of the higher key levels that we will see in the first season. Is always a little bit hard to predict. Okay, so then next one is, I think I let it on top of the B tier, just to make it clear. It's just a very slight nerf, so that will not make a lot, but I think it definitely lose some spots from where they are outshining some right now. Shadow Priest, all damage increased by 6%. Yeah, that's fine. That's a buff. We don't have to talk about it. That's a clear buff. It's a 6% damage buff, but it will stay in B tier. It will stay in B tier in a good spot. It's if you are playing Shadow Priest on a very good level, you will not have big problems, but it is not one of the top specs this season. Outlaw Rogue, I don't understand, to be honest, those damage nerfs, especially considering Mythic Plus, but it is very bad for... It's maybe necessary for the raid, but it's very bad for Mythic Plus. So, yeah, this is maybe not the best time to play an Outlaw Rogue in Mythic Plus. I let it in C tier, yeah. That's it. Enhancement Shaman, all ability damage increased by 4%, and so on and so on and so on. Lightning 10 was 6%, is a little buff on the set. Okay, so it's a super slight buff. It's already in A tier. I think it cannot make it up to the S tier. I think there's a little bit of something missing. I think Frosty Cane Assassination Rogue will stay as a better melee specs, but I would consider a chance for Enhancement Shaman to go up. Next one, Warlock. Okay. So I think those are good changes for Warlock, for Demo Warlock. Is it enough to bring it up in a higher tier? That's hard to say. You could argue with a low A tier or high B tier. That's a little bit... yeah, that's talking about some little steps. I think that's fine. I think it's definitely doing a little bit better now, but that's not a lot. Next one is Destruction Warlock, which has here a very nice buff, but it is so bad right now in C tier that I think even with those buffs, and again that sounds kind of like a lot, I think it only makes it maximum to a decent B tier, so that's not a big step, but it is one. Just to make that clear. Now we come to Warrior. I had a lot of complaints in the comments why I only had Warrior in B tier. And to be honest, I still think kind of the same. I think it loses some power as higher TK goes, because Warrior has very nice burst damage. Consistent burst damage, because kind of in every group you have something ready to make a lot of damage, but as longer the mobs are alive, as lower the damage of the Warrior is. And yeah, just to make it clear, I think that loses here also a lot of power. But I think I let Fury Warrior in A tier, just to make it clear. I think I let Fury Warrior in A tier, and I think I leave Arms Warrior in B tier. I had both in B tier. I think Fury Warrior is doing a little bit better. I think those nerfs are a little bit overreactive to the very crazy damage that they're doing right now in Mythic 0 or Heroic, but yeah, this is how it is. Apart from this, all the other changes are just PvP related, so we will see here no changes anymore. This is for me the final list moving forward to the first season of the War Within. We have upside potential in Enhancement Shaman, in my opinion, in Balanced Druid as high the key goes. I think maybe one of the mage specs will come on top. I'm not so confident about Asa Rogue, but we will see. And Fury Warrior is a spec that for me is hard to say if they maybe outshine or maybe they will perform lower because of what I said. Kind of the same I could say about Retribution Paladin, and yeah, that's what we will see in the next few weeks. I mean, I guess maybe 3-4 weeks, and then we know where it goes, where it moves forward, and yeah, that's it. Have fun, guys. Tomorrow it's starting, or if you're playing on Euro on Wednesday. So everybody, I wish you a nice start into the season. That's it for me. Bye bye.